All right, welcome back for part two of magical attacks or magical and psychic attacks, you know? And yeah, so we see that this whole thing of magic, this whole thing has a lot to do with how we construct our reality. So this would be like the deeper part. When you look at old grimoires, uh, we usually see like a mythology. And we think in the West or modern society, oh, mythology, we really thought that was their religion. No, what was going on is the structure of it, the cosmology, the way they construct the universe, the way they perceived reality was a construct. So if it was like Norse, they saw these giant dwarfs holding up the world, and there was this giant tree and a world snake. And so we had the world tree and this world serpent, and they had these like giants holding up the world, you know? And so in other cultures, it was two types of water, and a bubble was formed. And in the bubble, the earth and all creation was made, and a giant serpent was cut up into pieces, and all life was created out of this giant serpent snake, Tiamat. So, this is just an example. Um, Other cultures, the world was dreamed into existence. The god of nothing basically dreamed, and on the thread of a dream, reality was woven into existence. So others, singing life into being, or God in the word, and God spoke, and creation was made in 7 days. And so what is our construct of reality? It's satellites, it's planets, it's space, it's dark matter. Our scientists are the one concocting the narrative, the story of they're. So we actually now pay someone, scientists, to look into the unknown, and whatever they see with their ability to see is what they report back based on their perspective, and then we like agree to it. So there's this agreement to a narrative and a story. Most people can't handle the reality that really maybe there is nothing, obviously, unless you're Zen. And so staring out into the abyss or the void. So maybe we can't handle endless nothingness, and so then we create a something. So the reality is we could all be living in an illusion because we can't handle the fact of a nothing, an endless nothingness. So the void could be a principle that isn't part of your construct of reality. Doesn't mean it's not true. So where is truth and where is reality? We kind of have to take that journey down the rabbit hole. Uh, but basically, so you could think of, when we look at Western magic, we get four directions, we get elements, we get pentacles, we get cross formations, we get a sword, we get a chalice. And with these tools and symbols, you operate with forces to manifest things like angels and elemental beings, to do your bidding, to for health, for wealth, for getting back at your neighbor, for making crops grow. And so we construct and agree to, and we create a system. And so what is handed down to you is a story, a mythology based on a construct of people of the past. Hello, welcome to the present. So this is important because you're subscribing to a modern construct, idea, agreement. And it might be crystals have power. It might be there's people who could harm you. There's people, harmful forces are out to get you. So do the sign of the cross. There's a heavenly realm. So even though your life on earth is so short, don't have any fun, be very pious, and earn this reward of this greater kingdom. You know, be the ultimate achiever. Sacrifice. So who knows what you're subscribing to? And it becomes really important because what you believe, you perceive. So if you believe you're under a magical attack, you're going to perceive it to the point where it's your five senses. You're like, I feel that ghost on my arm. I feel that poltergeist. Why would you want to subscribe to that? Oh, because you want to be a medium and you want to talk to spirits and you want to make some money, like the lady down the street with all the cats. Oh, so you're opening up your mind. You're basically doing that yourself. So let's put the power back. So it's not outside of you, it's an agreement within. When you make the agreement within, then you're susceptible to magical attack. So you can reverse it. You can reverse engineer this and be an atheist. Magical attacks don't happen to me. I don't believe in magic. I don't believe in people having the power to influence me. I think that could be a magical shield that had nothing to do with a pentagram, a cross, four directions, and Hebraic God names. You didn't have to chant the 72 names of God or the great unspeakable name, or whatever it is. You didn't have to beg to a goddess. You didn't have to call your 3 coven sisters to get back at your neighbor. You just were like, I choose my thoughts. I choose my reality. I'm the master of my domain. And at the end of the day, it's what I say goes. It's my life. It's my energy. It's my mind. It's my heart. It's my body. You're not paying my bills. So get off my porch. Get your energy. So a lot of people are attacked because the other person thinks they're right. When you think you're right, you will do anything to destroy that other person. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Captain America or the Avengers team. I'm more of a villain because for that very fact. Because what I've witnessed, every time someone has attacked me, they've always thought they were right. At the exact same time, they're also triggered by psychological things they haven't worked out. I think Oprah Winfrey said it really well when she said, when you offer people a different image of, I don't know the exact words, but when you offer them, when you represent something that they haven't been experienced in or exposed to, it's kind of like a shock to their system and they might retaliate. They might judge, they might be prejudiced against it because it's new and foreign. It's not that they don't like you, it's they don't understand you. And why would you be mad at someone for not understanding this new thing in their world called you, called a certain behavior, called how you choose to show up on the chessboard of life? So instead of getting offended, you could move into curiosity, you can move into compassion and be like, yeah, how many people have seen a trans Middle Eastern in the country in Utah in the 90s? So that look of fear isn't hatred. That look of, or that trepidation, that like hesitancy, you don't have to put another layer, another spin on it as an attack, as hate, as violence, as it's not personal. It's really not personal. It's only personal if you choose it. So if you never choose it, it's never personal. So, anyways, let's move on. We have to ask ourselves, where does the power come from? Does it come from some Egyptian god? Does it come from an angel? It's amazing that two people will be praying to their angels and then psychic attacking each other, both thinking that they're right, both thinking that they're blessed, both thinking that they're the chosen one and the other person is the bad person. The power comes from within you. It's very, very rare for a higher power to intervene. Why? Because you have the power within you, and the higher beings know that. And what you think is important is not what they think is important. If you die, that's not a big deal to a higher being. Great. Now you're outside of the wheel of karma. It's a blessing for you to die. It's a good thing that you died. Everything that you're attached to, your family, your home, your kids, your job, your name, your status, that doesn't mean anything. So in their mind, it's like you graduated. It's like, so they're not saving you. They don't want to step in. They're not teaching you a lesson. So this lady has gone on and on about not dealing with this, beating around the bush, being weak about it, because her psychic told her she's learning a lesson. I'm like, no, you're not. You're getting your ass kicked, and you don't like it. And you keep going back because someone outside of yourself is thinking for you. Your psychic friend is thinking for you. Think for yourself. If you want to work with power, you have to think for yourself. You have to see with your own eyes. You can't be codependent on your magical friends in this world and the next. You can't be relying. That's the victim. That's the damsel in distress. When are you going to be the hero? When are you going to be the master? When are you going to be the power? So it's like, put your crown back on, rule your kingdom, shut the door, and attack anything that you don't want in there. Well, how do I know morally what's right and wrong? Have a vision for yourself. If you have a vague vision, like I'm going to bring in the new age and teach people about love and light and compassion, that's very broad. And so you're still kind of open. And that was so, because it was all inclusive, for magical purposes, not a good idea. So yes, you can keep it, but then also have something very more substantial and personalized. Besides ushering in the new world, what I would really like for myself is to, have more energy, to show up on the stage of life healthier, stronger, happier. Okay, that's getting somewhere. Now flesh it out. That turns into a daily practice of affirmations, going to the gym, eating right, and consciously knowing that today I choose to be happy and share that with others. Did I do it? Keep track of yourself. You mean I have to be my own life coach, my own parent, my own guru, my own boss? I have to boss? Yeah, that's called being responsible. That's called doing the inner work, but it's also the point of life, which was to show up every day and put into practice these ideals. So a lot of people got twisted with the law of attraction. They're like, I want a house, a home. I want him to want me. I want my boyfriend back. I want $1 million. I'm like, let's start where it really counts. This ideal version of me is nothing but a dream. Love and compassion, Christ consciousness, that's a dream. That's something you subscribe to and you liked. And can you do that? Can you adopt someone else's principles, someone else's ethics and values? Yeah, you can go, ooh, I like that. Artists copy each other. Go ahead. So, okay, you have this vision of wanting to be Christ-like and have a crystal and heal the world. Great. Now put it into practice daily. That's how you bring it down the plains and materialize it in real world action. Oh, so what type of thoughts am I thinking? Am I thinking about the magical attack and who I'm going to tell and 3 more psychics I need to go out and pay? This is my social life? No. Christ consciousness probably means I'm one with God. So no hypocrisy there. Do I believe in God? Oh, I don't. Okay, so we'll scratch the Jesus thing out. Okay, because Jesus is basically synonymous with God. And in a weird way, Jesus is now synonymous with love. Okay, but can I be love and light? Okay, yes. I can be loving. What is light? Well, that's just a nice glow, like a train when it hits a deer. No. Okay. Well, what does that really mean to me? Oh, show up on the stage of life, showing the best qualities of humanity. Well, God, that's kind of hard. Yeah. I will journal every day. I will work on my own bullshit. I'll go to my counselor. I'll take my medication regularly. I won't be participating in excess drugs. I will pay my bills. Love and light. That's great. So, I would say stand in places that you're always taking a vote. So whatever you're doing, you're voting. If you're going to do some excessive drugs with low life people who aren't vibrating high, you voted for that and you're one of them. So reality just showed you who you are, what you're about. That was contrary to your, whatever it is, that's contrary to your vision, this ideal self. If you're engaging in fear, that's contrary to your ideal self. So my ideal self is a God. Do you think me as a God has any problems with a human messing with my energy or trying to Jedi mind trick me? No. Does me as a God care if my boyfriend goes find someone else? No. I'm a God. If you can't see that, bye. So I don't need to convince anyone of my God status. I don't need to go outside of myself to get, like, what's going to be more entertaining? A movie or myself being with me, being within me? Boundaries, right? So, whatever your ideal self is, spell it out and show up onto the stage of life and work on it. Like, why did I have another day in Groundhog's Day? What did I miss? What can I improve? For me, a lot of it's just attitude. So learn to show up. So clearing out those emotions, quit sitting in those places inside of ourselves where it doesn't feel good, where we don't think clearly, and learn to reposition ourselves inwardly in those idealistic states. So yeah, I meditate 3 times a day. Okay. So where is this power? The power is in you. Quit displacing it. Quit outsourcing that power to the villain of your story. Can you live in a story with no villain? Kind of hard, right? No sympathy for you. So there's always a payoff for being the hero, for being the villain, for being the victim, for being the martyr, for being the misunderstood one. And it's usually to justify our next action, the way we want to feel about it. So let's be dark. Isn't it nice to be victimized? A little S&M. Onyx, I can't believe you said that. Don't you want to feel vulnerable? Don't you want to feel overpowered? Don't you want to play these things? Play them in your imagination, but maybe not in the real world. And know the difference. Go do a role playing party with some friends. But when you're not conscious of the part of you that wants to be dominated, wants to be submissive, wants to strike back, then when you're not conscious about it, that's what's showing up that you don't understand. So literally, I had a roommate who wanted to play the villain. But guess what? I wanted to play the villain too. So what do two villains do? Who's the bigger, scarier villain, I guess? So because I was already tapped into my inner villain, it was no problem. So he wanted to scare me, and he wanted to use his magical powers to mind manipulate me, to have control, to feel good about himself because he had low self-esteem. Unfortunately, so that goes that pure intention of that who you are really came out. It was like he was motivated from an empty place, a broken place, where I was motivated from a different place. So he didn't win. Needless to say, this year-long battle ended with him leaving with his tail between his legs and then coming back once a month to say he was sorry, which I rejected. So all the magic, psychic, that's a layer of reality, okay? But guess what? You can do it all here in the 3D world. You don't have to go fifth dimensional to deal fifth dimensional, because all the dimensions are woven together. So literally, when you do things in the 3D, like call the cops, you've actually operated in a magical way. It went through electrical wires. It was first a thought, an impulse. You visualized it. You predicted the outcome. The cops will show up in probably about 10 minutes. I'm going to call them. You used all the planes and all the dimensions, but then you also included this dimension. A lot of people aren't including this dimension. You live here. That means you call the cops. That means if you need a gun, you get a gun. You do the traditional warning. You do the traditional restraining order. There's levels to this. Go appropriately. A lot of people like to skip steps. I'm not going to talk to the person who hurt my feelings. Instead, I'm going to go talk to my boss. I'm not going to talk to my boss because that's scary, so I'll just go directly over his head and talk to HR. And you skip steps and piss everyone off. Don't miss the beat. Quit being immature about your psychic attack. Hey, I'm feeling uncomfortable. Are you somehow trying to Jedi mind trick me? Wink, wink. Oh, that's not your intention? Okay. Delete. Never invite them over again. Cut the cord. Distance yourself. So distance, getting back to center, boundaries. So when people start showing you these other intentions, you don't need to go to a reader and say, what do you think about it? The reader will say, well, maybe they're being influenced by a spirit. And you'll need this ritual, and I'll do it for you, but it'll only cost you $50. You've subscribed. You've got someone else in your business. You've dirtied the water. How many people are swimming in your swimming pool? Get out. So if you can't trust your gut, you can't trust your intuition. And if you can't trust your intuition, you can't play with magic. That's when you're going to have to get confirmation readings. That's when you're going to have to do all this extra stuff. That's what faith is for. You're doing a religion that you don't even believe in, so you need faith. And you need to do it over and over and over again because you're not sure. When your gut is sure, and a lot of people aren't doing this stuff every day. They're not testing themselves. They're not trusting their vibes. They're not taking the risk. Trust your vibes. What color should I wear? Or just watch. If you can't watch and be all psychic, be observant. Oh, wow. it looks like three of us all are wearing the same color today. I deduce I must have been picking up on that somehow. Oh, I happened to buy this thing on discount and it was exactly what you wanted. I'm not psychic or intuitive or anything, but I had a feeling and I went with it. And now, when I observe the story of the life play out as life unfolds, good timing. That was a sign your intuition was working. You got the exact thing that person needed. It was delivered right on time. Way to go. Get good. So, once again, your real life. Oh, I just had this experience and I wanted to share it with you. Oh, it turned out to be the information that you needed. How intuitive, how right, how synchronistic. The true meaning of synchronicity is right timing and matching symbols. But, anyways, so a lot of my friends are very, very psychic. I found out I'm not as a psychic. But guess what I found out? I'm pretty observant in a weird way, in a Pisces way. Like, I may not in the moment seem to be observant about it, but it went into my mind and I will bring it back up months, years later, or I'll just keep it on my mind for a long time. And it's turned out to be one of my very best weapons. I'll be like, whoa, did you hear that? Did you hear the way they said it? Did you see that micro expression? Like, the person is telling me the sad story, but there's a little smile. They're enjoying it. How do I know? Does anyone smile when they're not enjoying it? No. Okay. So, trusting your senses. And then obviously mastering that will then. So, people are always trying to skip steps. I don't want to cast a circle. Well, your intuition is so bad, you can't do magic with your third eye. You don't trust yourself. You're so contradictory with your words and your behavior, you can't speak it. So now you're forced to do ritual magic. Pull out your candle, pull out your wand, do your fucking circle. Because that's where you're at. That's why I said she could die. I was like, well, good luck. Because she wants to swim in the deep end with all the teenagers, but she's like a 5-year-old when it comes to magic. So that's why I said you could die, because literally you don't know what's in there. You don't know what's out there. So I would exercise caution. If you know you're dealing with something bigger than you, get back to where you're okay. It's like, get back to the sandbox that you're familiar with. If that's the 3D world and that's going to keep you safe, stay there. When you grow up, you can then go out and adventure farther and farther. So, ending this, really, so one thing I've been reflecting over literally the last 8 years or so of my life, and I'm like, why has I've basically shut the door to interacting with people in a magical way? And it's really because our personalities aren't refined, but also, what was my purpose? I'm gaining tons and tons of more magical knowledge the more I keep my mouth closed, the more I turn off my 5 senses, the more I open up my inner senses, the more I hermit, the more intensified my magical experiences. I'm like, I've left fighting altogether. I rather lose. I rather just leave. I'm like, oh, you want to get in an energy war? Bye. You want to work out your inner child issues with me? Bye. You want to scream and yell? Bye. Because I am working on, keeping my mind calm and clear and tranquil, so I have contact with higher beings, with high magic. So as an so this is really interesting. It's like someone made a comment, like where are all these teachers? How come the information's hidden? And it's like because it the only way to get access is in the silence of your mind. That is the true book of shadows. You have to be able to be there in the shadow, in the dark, in the empty, in the void. The void is the ticket to high magic. So until then, you're going to be playing with people in the outer world. And it's been my observation that people in the outer world haven't even handled their inner psychology yet. So and what is it about? Like, how come I don't get it? It's like, isn't so the whole point, kind of also of high magic, is to be one with God, one with Source, one with your deity. And if you guys do something, bring something back for humanity, great. But if you don't, that's great too. And so the real reason why we don't really see all this occult activity is they're in another dimension. They've graduated from kindergarten. And so what you were left with is a bunch of rumors from all the kindergartners. Where did the junior high kids go? How come they don't come back and play? Let's blame the adults. Let's blame everything we don't know. Unseen forces. Yeah, aliens. No. It's like, so usually, isn't that weird? When you finally work so hard to get the power, why would you waste it on another person? So it's all about power dynamics. And is that person really a worthy opponent? You know, and so I just bring all my energy back to my center, to myself. I don't have enough energy to waste on having a lot of clients anymore, using my power to predict their future that they don't want to see anymore, read their chart that they can't understand, and help them out. And so, what's really been interesting is I actually switched it up and I've actually been doing healing work. Well, that's something I could get behind. I can go to these high places, and from these high places, I can send the love, send the light, I can just, I kind of found I get everything that I've ever wanted from the occult. I can use all my talent, skills, and my ability to focus, my ability to meditate, my ability to channel, my ability to contact higher beings as God source energy, the oneness, and get real world results. So